There's a truth in the Bible that almost nobody talks about, not because it's hidden, but because it's uncomfortable. We've been taught to help everyone, to be kind, give, and sacrifice. And that sounds right, until it starts destroying you. Because here's the contradiction most people never question. Helping everyone is not always righteous. Sometimes it's disobedience. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." Above all else. Not after helping everyone, not after fixing everyone. Above all else, guard your heart. So what happens when helping someone begins to damage your peace, your clarity, your purpose? Most people ignore it, but the Bible doesn't. Today, I'm going to show you 7 types of people you must stop helping. Not because you don't love them, but because helping them the wrong way is hurting you. And if you don't recognize these patterns, you won't just lose your energy, you'll lose yourself. Stay with me, because the last one is the most dangerous. Number 1, the one who refuses correction. This one is subtle. They ask for help. They come to you with problems. They sound sincere, but every time you offer truth, they resist it. Proverbs 15:12 says, "Mockers resent correction, so they avoid the wise." Most people think resistance means they need more patience. But the truth is, resistance reveals intention. They don't want change. They want validation. You explain. They argue. You guide. They dismiss. And slowly, you start questioning your own clarity. But here's what most people miss. You cannot help someone who is committed to misunderstanding you. At some point, helping them stops being love and starts being self-neglect. Number 2, the constant crisis person. You know this one. There's always something wrong. Always an emergency. Always a situation that requires your time, your energy, your attention. And you show up. Again, and again, and again. But nothing changes. Proverbs 26:11 says, "As a dog returns to its vomit, so fools repeat their folly." That's strong language. Because this is not about someone struggling. This is about someone repeating. Same mistakes, same patterns, same outcomes, but expecting a different rescue. And here's the trap. You think you're helping them, but you're actually protecting them from the consequences that could wake them up. Most people think helping means removing pain, but sometimes helping means allowing pain to teach. And if you keep stepping in, you don't break the cycle. You become part of it. Number 3, the emotionally manipulative. This one doesn't demand help. They make you feel like you owe it. They use guilt, history, emotion. "I wouldn't ask anyone else. You're the only one I trust. After everything we've been through." And suddenly, you're saying yes to things that drain you. Proverbs 12:26 says, "The righteous choose their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked leads them astray." Manipulation doesn't look like control. It feels like connection. But here's the deeper truth. If helping them requires you to violate your peace, your boundaries, your values, that's not love. That's control disguised as need. And the longer you ignore it, the harder it becomes to say no. Number 4, the ungrateful receiver. At first, they seem appreciative, but over time, something shifts. Your help becomes expected. Your effort becomes normal. Your sacrifice becomes invisible. 2 Timothy 3:2 warns, "People will be lovers of themselves, ungrateful." Gratitude isn't about saying thank you. It's about recognition. And when someone stops recognizing your value, they start treating your presence like a resource and not a relationship. Here's what most people miss. You can give endlessly and still never be enough for someone who feels entitled. Because entitlement doesn't measure effort. It only measures expectation. And that expectation will keep growing until you're empty. Number 5, the one who thrives on chaos. Pay attention to how you feel after being around certain people. Not during, after. Heavy, drained, confused. Proverbs 22:24 says, "Do not make friends with a hot-tempered person, or you may learn their ways." Notice, it doesn't say fix them. It says avoid them, because chaos spreads. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't need logic. It just needs proximity. And the longer you stay close, the more normal it starts to feel. You begin justifying behavior you once questioned, accepting environments you once avoided, and slowly, your peace becomes unfamiliar. But here's the truth. You cannot build a peaceful life while constantly helping people who create chaos. At some point, wisdom means distance. Number 6, the user disguised as a partner. This one is strategic. They talk about we. They say, "We're in this together." But the outcomes only benefit them. Proverbs 24:1-2 says, "Do not envy the wicked, for their hearts plot violence." Not always physical violence, sometimes relational. They position you as an ally, but treat you like an asset. You invest, you support, you show up. But when things collapse, you're the one carrying the weight. and they're gone. Most people don't see it early because it feels like collaboration. But here's what most people miss. If the relationship only works when you're giving, it was never mutual, and helping them will never become balanced. Number 7, the one who drains your spirit. This is the hardest one, because there's no clear offense, no obvious wrongdoing, just a feeling. Every time you engage, something inside you weakens. Your clarity fades, your energy drops, your motivation disappears, and you can't explain why. But Proverbs 4:23 reminds you, guard your heart, because everything flows from it. Everything. Your decisions, your emotions, your direction. So if someone consistently drains your inner life, and that is not something to ignore, that is something to protect. Here's the truth most people avoid. Not every relationship is meant to be maintained at the same level, and not every person deserves continued access to your inner world. Now let's step back for a moment, because this is where people get it wrong. This is not about becoming cold. This is not about cutting everyone off. This is about discernment. Jesus loved everyone, but he didn't give everyone access. He walked away from people who refused truth. He stayed silent before those who wanted to trap him. He didn't chase those who rejected him, not because he lacked compassion, but because he had clarity. And here's the shift you need to understand. You are not called to save everyone. You are called to steward yourself, because when you help the wrong people in the wrong way, for too long, you don't just lose time, you lose alignment. And the people who truly need your help, the ones who would receive it, the ones who would grow from it, they miss out on a version of you that isn't exhausted, that isn't drained, that isn't distracted. Most people think being a good person means saying yes, but the truth is, being wise means knowing when to say no. So here's what I want you to reflect on. Who in your life fits one of these patterns? Not from judgment, from awareness, because awareness is where protection begins, and protection is obedience. If this message opened your eyes, type aware in the comments. Not for me, for yourself. A declaration that you are choosing discernment over guilt, clarity over confusion, wisdom over exhaustion. And remember this, guarding your heart is not selfish, it's biblical. And it might be the decision that changes everything.